Okay, let's unpack this. Have you ever found yourself wondering what truly drives innovation? I mean, like at its very core. Is it that electrifying spark of a brilliant individual vision? You know, that singular flash of genius that illuminates a whole new path? Or is it more the collective wisdom, the distributed power, the sheer messy brilliance, maybe, of many minds working together, iterating, refining in real time?
Yeah, that's a foundational question, truly. It influences pretty much everything from how software gets developed in the digital realm right up to the highest levels of corporate strategy, and even how nations kind of organize themselves for progress. So today, you and I are diving deep into two fundamentally different philosophies of creation, how we achieve progress, basically.
Right. Our listener has challenged us to explore a really fascinating debate. What is the most effective model for innovation? Is it that highly controlled, often top-down approach? You might think of it like meticulously planning and constructing a magnificent, centrally designed cathedral, maybe, where every single stone is placed with a singular purpose. Or is it more of a transparent, collaborative, and decentralized one? Something more akin to a bustling, self-organizing bazaar where, countless stalls operate independently yet somehow contribute to this vibrant, evolving ecosystem.
Precisely. And for the sake of our discussion today, let's label these overarching philosophies open collaboration and visionary control. Our mission really is to extract the most important nuggets, the most profound insights from your shared sources. We want to help you understand the strengths, and the subtle nuances and even the inherent weaknesses of each model, equipping you to navigate these contrasting viewpoints in a world that is, let's be honest, full of incredibly complex systems.
Okay. And I'll be championing the principles of open collaboration today, highlighting the profound power of transparency, widespread contribution, and critically rigorous peer review in creating not just robust systems, but incredibly adaptable and resilient ones too. This is where we really see the Bazaar shine, I think, with its organic, iterative development and its capacity for like emergent intelligence.
And I'll be exploring the counter-argument, the compelling philosophy of visionary control. This perspective posits that a closed, integrated system, meticulously guided by a singular, unwavering vision, think of Apple's legendary, precisely crafted ecosystem, right? A kind of digital cathedral designed for unparalleled seamlessness and elegance. It argues that this isn't just desirable, but actually essential for a truly breakthrough, refined, and often revolutionary outcome.
So you might think of this as the age-old argument between radical openness, maybe bordering on delightful chaos sometimes, and deliberate, intensely focused integration. What does this all mean for you, the learner, when you're faced with making strategic decisions or just trying to understand the underlying architecture of the products and systems you interact with every day? We're going to explore what each model offers, where its limits lie, and where they might, perhaps surprisingly, converge. Okay, so at the very heart of open collaboration, there's this core principle, the profound power of decentralized intelligence and collective problem solving. It's this compelling idea that when you have more eyes on a problem, more diverse brains contributing their unique perspectives, their lived experiences, you just invariably arrive at better solutions, more resilient ones, often far more innovative ones. It's a conscious decision, really, to distribute power and knowledge throughout a system rather than hoarding it at some central point. Think of it as inviting everyone into the bustling bazaar, trusting that the collective wisdom of the crowd will outshine any single master planner.
And what's truly fascinating here, powerfully supporting that very notion, is how Team of Teams describes the essential role of liaison officers, LNOs, right? They aren't just passive messengers, ferrying info back and forth. They are pivotal players. They act as a lifeblood, constantly pumping vital resources and, crucially, high-value information between disparate groups that might otherwise just operate in silos. This active, deliberate sharing, it radically reduces bureaucratic friction. It enables rapid, full, and crystal clear intelligence sharing. It's really all about empowering connections and building bridges between teams that might not naturally form in a more traditional, hierarchical, or, cathedral-like structure.
Exactly. I love thinking of those LNOs like deep-sea divers, connected to the surface by an oxygen hose. Their effectiveness, their very survival in that environment, is entirely dependent on our ability to pump resources and information to them. This makes them not only incredibly effective, but also highly desirable to their host organizations. It transforms what could be a transactional exchange into a truly reciprocal open system built on trust. This isn't just about sharing for the sake of it. The ultimate goal is to cultivate such fantastic relationships that when you really need sensitive intelligence, urgently, without delay, it comes quickly, fully, and without any of that frustrating bureaucratic friction, maybe just with a single trusted phone call. That level of trust and open exchange is just absolutely paramount in a rapidly changing world, isn't it?
Yeah.
Uh-huh. And this idea of distributing authority, moving beyond strict hierarchy, it extends even further. From the insights in extreme ownership, we learn about decentralized command.
Mm.
Now, this isn't an absence of leadership. Read the opposite, actually. It's about leaders finding the proper position, that optimal sweet spot, where they aren't so far forward that they get completely sucked into the minutia, losing sight of the strategic big picture, but also not so far back that they become detached and unaware of what's truly happening on the ground. It's about commanding effectively from a position of comprehensive situational awareness, trusting their empowered teams.
Here's where it gets really interesting, I think, and applicable far beyond its original military context. This isn't just a strategy for Navy SEALs in some intense training scenario.
Yeah.
It applies directly at any team, any business, any complex organization. It means empowering subordinates, those at the tactical edge, to make critical decisions within a clearly defined yet flexible framework. Rather than centralizing every single choice and creating bottlenecks, it recognizes that leaders need to be free to move to where they are most needed, adapting to dynamic situations by trusting their teams to execute with autonomy. This ultimately fosters a much more agile, responsive, and ultimately a more intelligent organization. It's the Bazaar empowering its individual vendors, right, to make decisions that best serve their customers right then and there.
Yeah, building on that crucial point, strategic flexibility emphasizes that actively bringing diverse perspectives into an organization isn't just a nice to have, it's truly crucial for survival. Why? Because, as the source notes, without this continuous influx of varied viewpoints, the organization's internal knowledge pool will inevitably fail to keep pace with changes in its business environment. The profound risk here is stagnation, where internal expertise, no matter how deep, just becomes an echo chamber, unable to adapt to external shifts. It can blindside the organization to emerging threats or opportunities.
Exactly. Think about it. Novices, for instance, they might not possess as much internal expertise as seasoned veterans, right? But their unique and often overlooked value is in the new and possibly insightful knowledge that they bring. They haven't been indoctrinated into the way things are done. The text even suggests that the views of individuals who don't share the perspective of the dominant coalition, those who are intentionally outside the established power structure, they might provide the very insights needed for future success. This calls for a radical openness to outside ideas, even those that might, at first glance, challenge established norms or seem contradictory. It's about actively seeking out those different, sometimes inconvenient viewpoints to foster genuine innovation. It's the Bazaar thriving on the unexpected, isn't it? This philosophy of open collaboration also champions fostering open communication and robust feedback loops at every level. And pour your heart into it. Howard Schultz didn't just tolerate dissenting opinions at Starbucks. He actively encourages managers to speak their minds, to say anything at any time without worrying about how others would react. He didn't just wait for feedback. He proactively asked, what's on your mind? What's going right? What's not going right? End quote. This kind of direct, open inquiry without fear of reprisal, it cultivates a genuinely honest, transparent, and crucially psychologically safe climate.
This raises an important question, though. How does this wonderful openness translate into concrete, actionable change and accountability? The 5 dysfunctions of a team offers a valuable mechanism here. To ensure commitment, teams should explicitly review key decisions made during meetings, clarifying precisely what needs to be communicated to employees and agreeing on specific outcomes before putting them into action. This transparent review process isn't about relitigating decisions. It prevents misunderstandings and fosters collective commitment by making sure everyone is truly on the same page about the actions stemming from that open dialogue. It bridges that gap between conversation and execution.
And it's fundamentally about creating a truly safe space for genuine feedback, even tough feedback. The new 1-Minute Manager highlights that employees actually enjoy working with a manager, not for them. This approach is about focusing on what's right, yes, but also about being able to specify exactly what went wrong without negativity, without shaming, and then immediately reaffirming an employee's value and potential. This balanced, empowering approach leads to greater engagement, higher performance, and a stronger sense of ownership from direct reports. Makes them far more likely to contribute openly and creatively without hesitation, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And if we connect this to the bigger picture, the value of robust criticism and ongoing conversation for intellectual growth is profound. The legendary economist John Maynard Keynes, in The General Theory, made this striking observation about intellectual isolation. He wrote, It is astonishing what foolish things one can temporarily believe if one thinks too long alone, particularly in economics. Quote, I have depended on the constant advice and constructive criticism of Mr. R.F. Khan. His candid recognition of the deep human and intellectual need for external validation, especially in fields where, conclusive empirical tests are difficult, powerfully underscores this point. Operating in a vacuum is just a recipe for blind spots.
So what does this all mean for us, the individual learners and innovators? It underlines the profound human and intellectual need for external input to test our ideas, challenge our assumptions, and critically avoid isolated errors. Think of how easily confirmation bias can creep in when you're operating in an echo chamber, or how a single unchecked assumption can subtly derail an entire project before anyone even realizes. External input isn't just about catching mistakes, it's about challenging our mental models and expanding the very canvas of what's possible by introducing entirely new frameworks of thought. Benjamin Franklin, as recounted in his autobiography, was a master of this. He constantly sought out and consumed diverse pamphlets, diverse sources, demonstrating a lifelong commitment to learning through broad exposure. He even gained valuable insight listening to a crafty old sophisters, simply because it helped him understand different viewpoints. This embrace of varied input, even from those he might disagree with, was a cornerstone of his intellectual growth.
And this principle of truly understanding others is powerfully echoed in The 7 Habits of Highly Effective People. It advocates seek first to understand and empathic listening, not just hearing the words, but truly grasping others' perspectives, their emotions, their underlying needs, rather than immediately evaluating, judging, or advising. This act of creating psychological air for others, allowing them to feel truly heard and understood, it empowers them to open up completely. It leads to the discovery of synergistic solutions, those third alternatives that might never have emerged from isolated thought, or adversarial debate, or a rigid singular vision. It's about building genuine, deep understanding before attempting to be understood yourself. Okay, now let's turn to the compelling counterargument: the efficacy of visionary control. This philosophy posits that truly breakthrough, seamless, and elegant systems, those experiences that feel almost magical in their integration, well, they require a singular, unwavering vision, often from a strong, decisive leader. This isn't about suppressing all ideas entirely. Rather, it's about meticulously curating them with a master plan, integrating every element under a unified purpose. It's much like a master architect designing a magnificent cathedral, right? Where every single detail, from the grand arches to the smallest stained glass window, serves a coherent, overarching aesthetic and functional purpose.
Okay, let's unpack this with a prime example. The biography Steve Jobs provides a clear, almost dramatic illustration of this at Apple. Upon his legendary return to the company, Jobs surprised the board by advocating for fewer products, not more. Apple had become this sprawling mess of confusing product lines, diluting its brand, bewildering customers. Jobs drew a simple matrix, defined intensely focused areas, and then crucially forged ahead, even when the board pushed back with concerns about revenue diversification. As the book notes, they never voted on the new strategy. Jobs was simply in charge, asserting his singular, almost unyielding vision to simplify and focus.
What's truly fascinating here is the sheer, almost unyielding force of his conviction and his absolute unchallengeable authority. Jobs' vision for less wasn't about scarcity or lack. It was a profound insight into a core problem: complexity. By radically simplifying the product line, Jobs wasn't just cutting products, he was curating a singular, integrated experience. He understood that true elegance, a genuinely superior, seamless, and elegant user experience, often requires cutting away the extraneous, making ruthless choices that force focus. It was about meticulously designing a digital cathedral where every component worked in perfect harmony, a stark contrast to a sprawling, unfocused approach that might result from excessive open collaboration or, design by committee.
It certainly seems like a dramatic example of top-down control, and what many would call a walled garden approach to design, right? It embodies that singular architectural vision where the experience is carefully controlled from end to end. Even Steve Wozniak, a brilliant engineer, co-founder of Apple, was content to stay at the bottom of the organization chart as an engineer because he openly admitted he didn't want to go into management. This suggests an environment where individual brilliance can flourish incredibly well within a defined visionary structure, as long as it aligns with the overall master plan, rather than attempting to dictate or diffuse it. The artisan thrives within the cathedral's design, so to speak.
Hmm. And this concept of a guiding, almost sacrosanct vision extends to building enduring companies. Built to Last describes visionary companies like Disney and IBM as possessing remarkable resiliency. They aren't just market driven, they are built on core values and core purpose that are essential and enduring tenets, not merely ephemeral market requirements or fleeting strategies. Disney's core values of imagination and wholesomeness, for example, they stemmed from an inner belief, from a profound conviction about the kind of entertainment they wanted to create, not external justification. This intrinsic clarity and unwavering purpose provide an incredibly stable foundation, allowing them to weather market fluctuations and even leadership changes.
Here's where it gets really interesting regarding that enduring vision. Even when Disney eventually hired outsiders like Michael Eisner to lead, he wasn't just a capable executive. He was chosen because he understood and appreciated, indeed, had unabashed enthusiasm for the Disney values. End quote. One Disneyite even famously summed it up, saying, Eisner turned out to be more Walt than Walt. This points to a powerful, almost inherited cultural continuity and a strong desire to preserve an established ideological framework. New leadership is brought in not to redefine the vision, but to channel and amplify the founder's original intent, ensuring the cathedral's architectural integrity remains intact.
Exactly. This uncompromising approach, this single-minded determination, often manifests in decisive leadership that cuts through internal opposition like, well, like a hot knife through butter. The Hard Thing About Hard Things offers a stark anecdote where a CEO, despite his team's unanimous agreement that a particular acquisition was a bad idea, declared, I don't care about any of that. We were going to buy Tangram. The team seemed shocked, but did not argue with me. This exemplifies a leader's conviction and unwavering willingness to override collective sentiment based on their own judgment, which can be absolutely crucial in high-stakes, vision-driven situations where consensus might just lead to mediocrity or a missed opportunity. It's the architect making the final call on a controversial design element, isn't it?
So, what does this all mean for us? It highlights the profound impact of a leader's conviction, sometimes overriding the wisdom of the crowd, particularly when a clear, integrated vision is paramount. Similarly, Alfred P. Sloan Jr. at General Motors, as chief executive officer, he had to make vital decisions on product programs like the innovative but problematic copper-cooled engine, even when, as he said, we continue to disagree on the merits. End quote. There are moments when a singular leader must step forward and make the ultimate call, trusting their strategic determination over consensus, particularly when the very integrity of the product line or the company's direction is at stake.
Right. And this raises an important question about the nature of good strategy itself. Good strategy, bad strategy points out that in group decision-making, things can become fruitless. Due to group irrationality, or what's known as the Condorcet paradox, that baffling situation where even if every individual in a group has perfectly rational preferences, the group as a whole can't reach a stable majority decision. It's like endlessly cycling through options where A beats B, beats C, but then C beats A, getting you stuck in this logical loop where no single choice can win outright. A strong strategy, in this view, needs a clear kernel with a decisive diagnosis of the challenge, a guiding policy for how to deal with it, and coherent action to implement it. Steve Jobs, again, is cited as a leader who exemplified this focused, decisive strategic approach, cutting through potential groupthink to establish a clear, unwavering direction. This visionary control also extends deeply into how successful companies approach controlled growth and deliver a truly seamless customer experience. 0 to 1 argues that successful network effects businesses, companies that get more valuable as more people use them, must start with especially small markets. Facebook, for example, famously began with just Harvard students, not attempting to reach all people of Earth from day one. This highly controlled initial environment allowed them to build strength and refine their offering by ensuring a high-quality, integrated experience from the outset before scaling to the masses. It's about perfecting that first cathedral for a small, dedicated congregation before building more, you could say.
That sounds almost exactly like a walled garden approach to growth, ensuring a solid, curated foundation and maintaining absolute quality control before expanding too rapidly. It's about building a perfect prototype, understanding every nuance of its function and aesthetics, and then meticulously replicating and expanding that controlled, integrated experience.
Precisely. The argument is that a monopoly business gets stronger as it gets bigger, enjoying dramatic economies of scale with marginal costs that approach zero. This tightly managed, focused expansion ensures that the initial quality and control, the core of the vision, can propagate without dilution. Jeff Bezos at Amazon, as described in the Everything Store, also demonstrated this intense, almost obsessive focus. His hyper-rational business decisions were relentlessly centered on improving the company's performance and customer service. His now famous requirement for 6-page narratives for critical thinking, even for new products or major initiatives, ensures a coherent, visionary approach aligned with a singular, unwavering customer centric focus. It filters out anything that doesn't fit the grand architectural plan. And finally, this model thrives on customer centricity, but within a very clearly defined scope, delivering distinctive value. Playing to win describes P&G's deep engagement with core customers. Not every potential customer, but the crucial ones. They understood these customers so well that they could work collaboratively to develop mutual business goals, joint value creation strategies, and shared action plans to win. This isn't about pleasing everyone, it's about delivering specific, distinctive value within a chosen playing field for a clearly identified customer base, ensuring that every effort reinforces a precise, integrated value proposition.
This, then, isn't just about selling a product. It's about comprehensive marketing, isn't it? Viewing the entire business process as consisting of a tightly integrated effort to discover, create, arouse, and satisfy customer needs. End quote. As Theodore Levitt so eloquently explains it, it's a holistic, almost controlled approach to meeting very specifically defined customer needs within the unwavering scope of the company's vision. Ensuring every single part of the operation, like a component of a grand cathedral, serves that central unifying purpose.
So we've laid out two incredibly powerful yet fundamentally different approaches to innovation. But here's where things get really interesting. Both of these models, open collaboration and visionary control, encounter significant points of interplay and tension, especially when confronting the challenge of scale. The innovator's dilemma reveals a critical paradox. While disruptive technologies often enable new small markets and offer significant first-mover advantages, large, successful companies, often operating under a visionary control model, they find it progressively more difficult for them to enter the even newer small markets that could become the large ones of the future. This implies a built-in resistance for established, often more controlled entities to embrace truly nascent, potentially messy opportunities. The cathedral builders are optimized for grand structures, not tiny experimental stalls in a burgeoning bazaar.
Right? This suggests that both models face unique challenges as they attempt to scale. A highly open system, like a sprawling, vibrant bazaar, can become chaotic, fragmented, and lose focus if not properly managed. It might struggle to make cohesive, large-scale strategic decisions or maintain quality across countless independent contributors. Conversely, a tightly controlled one, a pristine cathedral, can become rigid, unable to adapt quickly to nascent opportunities or unforeseen shifts, potentially missing disruptive innovations that originate on the periphery. It's what Clayton Christensen called the trap of marginal thinking. This is where a company looks at a small, nascent market opportunity and only sees the immediate, often seemingly low, profit margins or the upfront investment required. They fail to calculate the far greater, often invisible, long-term costs of not investing, the lost future market share, the missed disruptive innovation that a nimble competitor might seize, or the eventual irrelevance if they cling too tightly to their established but slowly eroding core business. And when we talk about freedom, you see, the open collaboration model often thrives on a certain kind of distributed, almost unfettered freedom. Milton Friedman, in Capitalism and Freedom, highlights that the freely floating exchange rate is fully automatic and free from governmental control, contrasting it starkly with direct governmental controls or interferences with trade. This provides a powerful economic analogy for the power of self-regulation and emergent order when many diverse actors are involved in an open system, where market forces, rather than central planning or a single visionary's decree, largely guide decisions and resource allocation. It's the economic bazaar allowed to flourish organically.
Yet, if we look at the psychological landscape, predictably irrational suggests that while giving people the opportunity to commit upfront to a path is helpful, an authoritative external voice giving orders is actually very effective. This hints that pure, unbridled freedom, while appealing, isn't always the most efficient or productive path. Sometimes, a guiding hand, a clear directive, provides necessary structure and prevents individuals or groups from falling prey to those foolish things Keynes warned about. Robert Moses, as detailed in The Parry Broker, provides a historical, almost chilling example. He effectively created a vast, unchecked power structure, operating commissions so secretly that no outsider knew where to start looking for proof, leveraging his singular personal will to surmount obstacles like securing funds from the New York Central Railroad for his projects. This showcases the sheer transformative power and potential ruthlessness of an unconstrained, singular will in getting things done.
Whether you're building a cathedral or running a bazaar, both models absolutely need to avoid falling into those red ocean traps. That's where companies engage in bloody competition for market share. Imagine every stall in the bazaar selling the exact same spice, or every architect designing the same, slightly different, but ultimately identical building. It's an environment that drains resources, stifles creativity, and leads to diminishing returns for everyone involved. It often makes innovation a zero-sum game that benefits no one in the long run.
That's exactly right. And Blue Ocean's strategy offers the compelling counterpoint by championing the creation of new market space that is uncontested. This isn't about competing better in an existing market. It's about defining a new game entirely, creating new demand, rendering the competition irrelevant. This requires strategic choices that go beyond traditional rivalry, whether that's through radical openness to discover entirely new, unarticulated needs from a vast community, or through a visionary leader's decisive focus to define a distinctive value proposition that fundamentally redefines the market itself, much like Cirque du Soleil did for the circus industry, or Apple with the iPhone, creating a whole new category. Playing to win notes, a company may even enter a crowded field if the company can bring new and distinctive value, implying a strategic, controlled choice, not just a reactive one.
And what about resilience? Adaptability. Built to last shows that even visionary companies, those built on a strong, singular ideology like a cathedral, they face setbacks, they make mistakes. What's truly crucial is their remarkable resiliency and ability to bounce back from adversity. This ability might come from internal mechanisms for adaptation and course correction, which could well include some form of open feedback and organizational learning, allowing the cathedral to evolve without losing its core architectural integrity. It's about adapting the structure while preserving its soul, maybe.
On the other hand, Sam Walton Made in America talks about Walmart having our own way of doing things and sticking to what we believe in because it's proven to be very, very successful. This steadfastness, driven by a clear internal compass and consistent, almost unyielding execution of a particular vision, is also a powerful form of resilience. It's about having such a strong, unchanging core, a deeply ingrained belief in a specific model that you can weather storms by staying true to your established, effective methods. It's a different kind of adaptability, really, rooted in unwavering commitment to a refined formula.
Now, let's look at the very fundamental role of the individual versus the collective, which really underpins this entire debate, doesn't it? The discipline of teams discusses the single leader discipline versus shared responsibility. It points out that being accountable for individual goals is preferable, clearer, and easier for many people. But shared responsibility, where the collective truly owns the outcome and collaborates intensely, is what genuinely defines high-performing teams, suggesting a higher, though often more challenging form of collective performance that can unlock unexpected synergies. It's the difference between a collection of solo acts and a truly integrated ensemble.
Right. And if we connect this to the bigger picture of broader economic performance, maybe investment philosophies. A random walk down Wall Street compares index funds to actively managed funds. Actively managed funds, which often rely on the individual decisions of visionary managers attempting to pick winners, on average underperform the indexes by the amount of these expense and transactions cost disadvantages. This subtly supports the idea that the collective wisdom of the entire market, captured by passively managed index funds, can, over time, be more effective and efficient than individual expert picks, raising profound questions about the scalability and consistent efficacy of individual genius in certain domains. The Bazaar, in this case, sometimes outthinks the most brilliant individual trader.
So what does this all mean for you, navigating these currents? It seems there's a constant dynamic tension between the desire for clear, singular direction and the immense, sometimes surprising, power of diffuse, collaborative intelligence, which, as we've seen, sometimes proves to be not just more resilient, but counterintuitively more efficient in the long run. There's no easy answer, is there? Only a fascinating landscape of trade-offs. Hashtag A2VT. Listener relevance and practical application. You're now equipped with two incredibly powerful lenses, I think, through which to view innovation, organizational structure, strategic growth, all of it. When you're assessing a new project, a company's overarching strategy, or even contemplating how your own team operates, ask yourself, is this particular situation better served by the organic adaptive principles of open collaboration, thriving like a bustling bazaar? Or is it better suited to the focused, integrated vision of visionary control, meticulously designed like a grand cathedral?
Consider the context very carefully. Is the goal a radical, paradigm-shifting product that truly demands a single, unwavering vision? meticulously crafted and controlled for a seamless user experience, much like those early Apple products that redefined an industry and felt almost magically intuitive? Or is it about building a robust, adaptable system, a vibrant ecosystem that benefits immensely from broad community input, continuous iteration, and constant refinement? Similar perhaps to successful open source projects or the ever expanding marketplace enabled by fulfillment by Amazon FBA, which flourishes on collective participation in emergent solutions.
And importantly, think about the culture you're trying to foster, or the one you currently operate within. Is your organization genuinely fostering an environment where people are encouraged to speak their minds and engage in constructive criticism, where transparency and diverse perspectives are seen as the vital fuel for progress, much like the free exchange of ideas in a vibrant public square? Or is it one where clear, decisive direction from a central figure is prioritized to maintain an integrated vision and avoid fragmentation, ensuring every component aligns with a singular, overarching design? Both approaches have their distinct advantages, their moments of triumph, and of course, their inherent challenges.
And remember, even visionary companies with their strong guiding principles and their cathedral-like structures, they face setbacks. They make mistakes. Their resiliency is key to their long-term success, their ability to bounce back. How do you, as a leader or a team member, contribute to that crucial bounce-back factor? Is it through establishing effective open feedback loops that allow for rapid course correction, allowing small, Bazaar-like adjustments within the larger plan? Or is it by reinforcing a strong, coherent strategy that provides stability amidst turbulence, ensuring the cathedral's foundations remain solid? Hashtag tag outro.
We've explored a truly fascinating debate today between open collaboration and visionary control, drawing on your diverse sources to illuminate the profound strengths of both. From the distributed intelligence of decentralized command, much like the vibrant, emergent order of a bustling bazaar, to the focused, uncompromising power of a singular vision, reminiscent of a grand, architecturally brilliant cathedral. Each model offers unique and powerful pathways to innovation and enduring success.
Ultimately, as we've discovered, the most effective model isn't a one-size-fits-all solution, is it? It's not some universal template that applies everywhere. It's about understanding the nuances, the inherent trade-offs, and the specific demands of the situation at hand. It's about discerning which approach will best serve your goals, whether that's fostering radical new ideas or ensuring flawless execution, to truly foster innovation that resonates and endures.
So as you move forward, considering all these insights, I want to leave you with this provocative thought. In a world constantly changing, generating an overwhelming amount of information, and facing unprecedented challenges, is the greatest innovation to create a perfectly curated, elegant experience that anticipates every need, designing the ultimate impenetrable cathedral? Or is it to build the most open, adaptable system that can learn from everyone and everything, a truly boundless, ever-evolving bazaar? Which approach, do you think, holds the key to the future you want to build or inhabit?